What's going on, everyone? Strokefish here. Today we are here with week 4 of Draft Classic Season 17, bringing you the first game of the week, which is going to be the TLC. I still need to remember their name. Coached by C3 versus OKC, the Oklahoma City Thunderous. So, interesting matchup. So TLC is 3-0. Tavin, I believe, is 2-1 going into this game. So it's going to be an interesting match. I think that on paper, Zarude looks like it is a really solid matchup here. I believe OKC went up against Zarude last week. Does pretty well, but those Zapdos can be a nice check to it, though. You know, getting knockoff can be annoying. Doesn't really have a great switch into dual stab. And then even something like Roaring Moon can U-turn out, and then Cobalion is going to be kind of a nuisance. So maybe you can like kind of leverage a little bit of a Cobalion instead of like physically offensive, and maybe try to like catch Tornadus with like a Stone Edge or something, because like Ironhead close combat seems a pretty good general overall solid matchup in this team, and like Stone Edge, something like Rotom could be annoying for that set, but like maybe like a Sword Stance set could be a nice little breaker. It does outspeed the Zarude with no Scarf, though it does speed Kai Keldeo, which could kind of be annoying, but does outspeed Iron Treads and everything, so maybe leveraging that. Alakazam looks pretty good this matchup as well. I think Registeel is really the only thing kind of giving it some trouble. Maybe Hatterene could be annoying, but I think something like a Nasty Plot with like Focus Blast, Psychic, and then Focus Blast, Psychic, Shadow Ball looks like this. It just rips his team to shreds. So probably gonna run something like a Scarf Keldeo, or more than likely a Scarf Zarude, and then like a Keldeo could be really anything. Doesn't necessarily need to be Scarf this week. And then Roaring Moon actually has a solid matchup too, just kind of weird with like a Weezing, so it can't really, like Weezing Registeel core kind of makes it really difficult for Roaring Moon to deal with stuff offensively. So I think maybe like a Pivot could be a little bit better, just like U-turning on stuff, and then like knock off and U-turn could be the best course of action for that, and then just getting favorable matchups and U-turning. And then trying to get some last minute comments on this. I think overall, I think the matchup seems a little bit even, though I maybe TLC is a little bit better matchup here. Torn T outspeeding everything except Mega Zam sucks, because Zapdos is a good check, but like, I was gonna say like U-turning isn't like free, so Zapdos could be kind of annoying this matchup in general, just because TLC doesn't have great ways of breaking that outside of like a Specs Keldeo, and then like a Megazard X with like, +1 Flare Blitz, but maybe Hatterene could do something. Red Steel also isn't terrible, so we'll see what they end up doing in this match. Tavin's gonna bring a very interesting team. Komala, I don't necessarily agree with coming. It does have a great, I like it here, though I will say like Marowak, again, another Pokemon, like it does okay and just stuff, but like it's not really gonna probably have that. It's not really doing much for your team. I think maybe Roaring Moon would be a little better, but I don't know. I feel like Marowak and Komala definitely are going to be tough to have here, because Zarude kind of just clicks knockoff for free versus, like, at least with Roaring Moon, it's more likely to click something like U-turn, which could allow something like Cobalion in, or like close combat or something. So it does make knockoff a little bit more free. So we'll see what they end up doing. I think I would say C3 probably likely to lead something that matches well until like lead Zapdos or lead Mamoswine. So maybe something like, honestly, it could be anything. I feel like maybe Iron Treads isn't a bad lead here, so we'll see what they end up leading. End up leading Torn, great lead here. Cobalion is a solid lead as well, considering that Scarf Zarude is a decent lead, though I will say Torn into Zapdos would have been bad. So I think Zapdos is a really, really solid early game lead here, because like what do? Like they lead like Charizard and like just start setting up in your face, I guess maybe, but like if you have something to like break a sub or like do a significant amount of damage, you're not really too worried about that. And C3's team doesn't have anything to punish like a U-turn or something, so outside of like a Rocky Helmet, like Weezing potentially. So Torn T here that is a little bit more favorable for the Torn T player. Will he go for like Heat Wave? Will he go for Stealth Rocks? Not sure. Is he going for Chilling Water, which is interesting. Most likely predicting what on his team is that good versus? I feel like there was I guess Zapdos. I don't know. Yeah, I guess Mamoswine lowers attack. Maybe can live a nice Ice School move. As we go for Volt Switch, that's absolutely nothing. That is most likely Bulky Torn. Probably not AV though, because Volt Switch it's non-stab and depends on his set. Ends up going for Knock here. Again, I think not going Zapdos is kind of the tough thing. I get that you don't want to lose your boots on that, but it just offensively threatens Tornadus so well. It's a Blunder Policy here, so that's a really cool set. So Knock does kind of just neuter that entirely. But again, I don't know how much Komala was really breaking here. I guess normal moves into this team are really good. You have like Earthquake and Body Slam and like Sword Stance can be really annoying here, and Komala really doesn't have a great way to be dealt with offensively with no Keldeo here. So gonna U-turn out. If that Sing hit, that definitely would have been a really tough situation for Tornadus, because yeah, it would have been put in a weird spot. Like it's now sleeping and no burn turns of sleep. So at this point he's knockoff though, so gonna remove the Weezing. But again, like I don't know how good Blunder Policy would have been versus like a Weezing. So gonna switch in Alakazam hard here and unfortunately take some chip on that Zam unnecessarily. Is gonna get regen though, which is great, and gonna hurt itself in Confusion, which again really sucks. Now is this Torn it could be, honestly it looks AV because of the fact that it's had 3 moves and that Volt Switch did absolutely nothing. So maybe this is his like main check to Alakazam, which makes sense. As he makes the play into Komala is not really getting much out of this. Maybe he has Wish, but like you're just kind of taking chip on a Pokemon, and it is good for like spin, but I don't know. Like I maybe would have liked to see, like I don't know. I think the cook was there, but it definitely could have had a little bit more time in the oven. So gonna Rapid Spin. Gonna get Speed Boost. So Blunder Policy and Rapid Spin seems a little bit like maybe I'm just not clued in, but I guess you're trying to sing something, and then if you miss, you outspeed it the next turn. But like I feel like Weezing Galar is a pretty safe switch into this thing. If it gets slept, it's not the end of the world, and then you can go something like it definitely is good at listen, I'm a big Komala truther, but yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Blunder Policy Sing, maybe, especially with like Rapid Spin already boost your speed. Zam's gonna come back in, and Torn is most likely gonna be a switch, but now that he's made that switch, he's more comfortable going to Root here because he's revealed the Torn as his main switch. So solid play, though definitely a little bit risky, obviously, because if Alakazam does go for that Focus Blast switch, I don't think OV Toppin was in the position to make, because of the fact that he's kind of behind here. So he probably wants to make a little bit of a safer click, especially if he knows what set the Torn is. I'm not going off calc, so I don't know exactly what his set is. But assuming it's AV, maybe Psychic did more. But maybe he's expecting like a Psy Shock there to deal with the AV Torn potential switching. So at this point, he's very freely knock or U-turn, and he ends up going for the knock. Gonna raise the attack there on Cobalion. Gonna go for Body Press, does literally nothing. Again, Body Press is fine, but again, I think a physical set would have been a lot better. Just like Iron Head, fighting move, and then like Stone Edge would have been just amazing here, because like you basically would hit everything on this team super effectively. So that would be amazing. Like I think this Cobalion really could have gone in, because you could have not having something for Weezing is kind like, I get it, you have the Alakazam, but like what else is dealing with Weezing? Like Mamoswine, if this thing is Levitate, which it does, it's not dealing with that. So now this Weezing gets to stick around and most likely clicks Pain Split here. And now it gets all that health back, which is like, you don't like to see it. So Torn's going to come in. Doesn't have really a great switch into the Marowak here, but is going to get the speed boost, which is awesome. But he is unfortunately going to lose that Thick Club. So it's a good concept, but unfortunately because of the fact that Marowak is very beholden to its item, and versus a team with very common knockoff users, I think it was understandable, because you have like Hatterene and you don't have the best ways of dealing with that offensively. But you do have like, I feel like knockoff Roaring Moon is not terrible, and U-turn, or even like Bramble Gas isn't even bad here, because you resist Keldeo's dual stab. You are immune to Tornadus, and you could be something like Colbur, so that you take minimal damage from Torntine's Root. I think that would have been a lot better here. Obviously, you're a little bit weaker to Charizard, which obviously is probably why that they brought the Marowak there. Maybe over something like Komala, I could definitely see. Though I will say Komala is a great answer into Rotom. So again, potato tomato, like I understand that there was probably a reason. Like it's an amazing Rotomancer, so but it kind of hinges on it coming. So if it doesn't end up coming, it's kind of in a bad spot. But in that case, like if you're running Komala, then I would have like wanted to see maybe a Cobalion set that didn't really give a shit about Rotom and just run like 3 attack Swords Dance. So anyway, Flare Blitz is gonna barely miss out on the KO, which sucks, which means this Tornado is gonna be able to save itself here. He's gonna go on Iron Treads. I would definitely go for a Focus Blast here. But he's running the Signal Beam, which is a little bit safer, and Iron Tread's going to come in. So definitely getting like a little bit out prepped here. Like C3 is playing well, but like I would say that like because of the fact that Taven is not willing to risk something like Focus Blast here, or like running it, like Focus Blast would have 100% killed, saying that Shadow Ball did 43%. So you would have been able to get a lot of leverage in this coming up. And now this Treads gets to get rocks, which is obviously not very good in the late game. So, and you're also going for Nasty Plot here a little bit too late, because now the Zarude can just revenge kill you. Obviously you have a Regenerator, so you don't care all that much, but now you're bringing in Cobalion, and this thing could pretty freely click like a knockoff or a U-turn. Yeah, but more than likely U-turn, because it kills the Zam, and you get a Momentum versus Cobalion. So U-turn to get some health back on Torn here, and then Weezing comes back in because he's shown that he's not going to be able to break through that. I don't love Iron Defense Body Press versus a team with a Hatterene and a Weezing. Like, maybe Heavy Slam as well. Like, I think Swords Dance Heavy Slam would have been so good in this matchup. Like, you outspeed the Zard and you can just KO with so much. You outspeed Treads. Zarude has to go for something like close combat to beat you. Maybe he was like predicting something like a Swords Dance Zarude. But I think Scarf was just too good to give up. So I think the Iron Defense set was really the main kicker. So I think this is kind of like where the game ends, because like he really can't break through this Weezing. He ends up doing like half to Zapdos, which is just absolutely well, I guess not half. He does like 30%. But most likely a more offensive Zapdos here, which is a great set. Like I do think that's a great set, but you're going to be in a really tough spot now. And tries to make the over prediction with Heat Wave, because he knows Life Orb is coming, but I don't think C3 is in position to really exploit that. So I think definitely had a lot of cook here from Taven, but I think I think with a lot of suboptimal sets, and I think this was a very winnable matchup here, and I think C3 played fine, but he played a lot very risky. Like, I think if Taven had the sets that really exploited some of those like really aggressive switches into Zarude and Iron Treads, you really could have come out with this game. And like if you had the Iron Head, like this game would be like a 3v3 right now, and you'd be even more, because you know you're playing in a Torn. And if you had because what did he do versus that Torn? Was it a hard switch into? Yeah, it was a hard switch into Torn into the Marowak. If you just click like Flare Blitz there, like what was his Flare Blitz switch in Charizard? Like Flame Charge really wasn't necessary there, because you already outspeed 2 of the Pokemon most likely. Maybe not Weezing, but like Flare Blitz was doing a lot, and it was already at 50%. So like, and he switched in. So like you knew he was either clicking yeah, what was he clicking? Maybe he thought he can get 2 Flame Charges off. But he I don't know. I guess in his head, maybe he thought he could get 2 off, and then like he was in a great position. So I understand the plays, and I maybe I take back the Marowak being there, and I get Rapid Spin Komala for the Zapdos now. But I think, yeah, not running Focus Blast and the optimal Cobalion set was really going to be the downfall here. So going to be kind of a slow death here. Gonna overpredict with the Zapdos, and then unfortunately, so Mamoswine, a lot of speed boosting here. Gonna actually run Low Kick, which is great. And doesn't unfortunately kill the Alakazam, but at this point it's pretty much looking like Raps. And yeah, so now you can just U-turn, and then this thing is, I guess, forced to hold switch. I guess it was kind of just like whatever move you click. So yeah, it ended up coming down to that, and yeah, it was just an unfortunate turn of events for Taven. I think definitely winnable, but it is what it is. Okay, so moving on to the next matchup is actually my matchup, the second game of the week, which is going to be the Chicago Bewares versus the Tampa Bay Manta Rays, coached by my good friend Solry. And also, by the way, shout out to C3. Played well. Again, I think his prep was like very fine. We really didn't see much of it. I think the Chilling Water was interesting on the Tornadus. I'm sure he could explain what that is. I'm not really seeing it, but I know there was probably a reason for it, and it was probably lowering attack is just good in general. I think it was maybe for the Mamoswine to be able to like effectively deal with that and like take less damage from it. So yeah, okay. So in this matchup, definitely actually was this, yeah, because he made free agents after this game, but in this game he has all of these Pokemon. Mega Float doesn't have a champions or a mystery dungeon sprite yet. But looking at this matchup, I knew that Mega Delphox absolutely went in, though my Gouging Fire matchup was like horrendous. Like I really don't have great answers to it. My answers are like Terrapago saving Terra Shell and Confagrigus, which can't really do all that much back other than like Nightshade and a set that you'll see later. But there were a few things I was like, okay, second week facing Great Tusk, which was unfortunate, but we did actually have pretty good answer to it last week in our Garchomp and being able to pivot around and use Confagrigus. But I wanted to use Confagrigus more as my Gouging Fire failsafe. So I wanted to use Garchomp in a little bit of a different light. And I actually am going to not bring it this match because honestly, like it's good. Like it has a lot of good speed matchups in this game. I don't know if I think he got rid of Xatu for something else. I can't remember what it actually was. I don't think it ended up mattering because they don't bring it here. Xatu for I can't remember what it was. But anyway, yeah, so kind of a solid Delphox matchup, but really got to be careful for that Gouging Fire. Ogerpon matched up super well into his team. Like, he does not have a great switch into it. Also not going to bring it, just because, like, it just doesn't do great into, like, Skarmory. It's defensively, it's not great. So I thought there was just better Pokemon to bring here. And actually, one of the Pokemon is Pheasantipity, which I have yet to bring. So I was kind of excited to bring it this game, and I thought it could really shine. Wanted a really good, solid Greninja check, which I felt like Ogerpon didn't really contribute to my Greninja matchup because of the fact that it kind of just died to a Sludge Wave and then could potentially get Battle Bond boosted, and then at that point I'm in a really bad spot. So I wanted a Pokemon that could kind of deal with Greninja. Like, even if he's running something like Extra Sensory, like he has to forgo something of like U-Turn, or he has to forgo like Poison Move for Ogerpon. If he doesn't really care about Ogerpon and he just wants to run like Dark Pulse and like Extra Sensory, that's fine. And maybe he just runs 4 attacks, no U-turn, but then he loses the ability to get momentum with Greninja. So great Tusk is solid matchup here, but I think we have a good check to that. And yeah, Delphox's main way of breaking here is kind of like through the early game. Like, I feel like he doesn't have great early game switch-ins. Like, he can kind of run away with the game with like Greninja or Gouging Fire, but if Delphox is applying a lot of pressure, it's a great switch into Mega Floette, so he can really easily just kind of pivot in on Mega Floette, and if he ever gets that play wrong of like going for a Moonblast over it, he's going to be a really tough spot because he's got to switch into something like a Snorlax or his Gouging Fire to take that hit, and it's not going to really appreciate those. And especially if we get the play right and he goes into Snorlax on a potential like Flamethrower, which versus Floette, like, why, you know, Psyshock is very free. His Psychic Resists are kind of suck. Like, it's Greninja, so we really can take advantage of that. So yeah, it's a really solid matchup for us. So here's what we're end up bringing. Nelly Furtado, the Delphox, with Flamethrower, Psyshock, Dazzling, Nasty Plot. Dazzling gives us a way to guaranteed deal with his Greninja. It doesn't 100% kill, I don't believe, but it's our highest damaging move into it, and as much as I wanted to run something like Focus Blast, I feel like Dazzling is more consistent and can cover a lot of mid-grounds. Like, if he's low in Gouging Fire and he ends up trying to like potentially make the switch into like Greninja to predict Psyshock, then we can also like kill him and then also get damage if he wants to make that aggressive play. So can really punish those kind of switches, and Nasty Plot is kind of just like that other move if we're in a position to do so, though I don't necessarily need Nasty Plot this game. I think honestly these 3 moves are great, but if we get in that great position, that's awesome. Psychic Noise could also be good to potentially stop like a Morning Sun variant of Gouging Fire, or like we could have potentially run Encore, or like even like Toxic to kind of like slow some of his like bulkier threats down. But I think Nasty Plot was just the best for stuff like Sinistra and like Snorlax on Switch that could potentially die to a +2 Psyshock. That's why I wanted to run Focus Blast, because Nasty Plot at +2 after Rock skills. So pretty standard though. 3 attacks Nasty Plot has been pretty much the standard set this whole week, or every week, so not really straying from that. So we're not bringing Garchomp or Ogerpon this week of the big four, but we are bringing Terapagos. It's more of a support variant this week. His only way to deal with Terapagos is Sinistcha, which I don't think has amazing matchup at all here. And if he does bring it, we have a great answer to it in Swallow. So if he does want to bring it, that's fine. We can just Rocks and roar it around. So we still have ways to like deal with it defensively. Obviously, like in the end game, it's not great, but like I think because it can't Terra, which is great. We were running Modest this week, and just enough speed to outspeed a Greninja at +1, which is great. And honestly, Modest Terapagos just hits so hard. It could potentially 2-hit KO less bulkier variants of Gouging Fire. It can do a lot to non-spit off Skarmory, and I was like trying to like, oh, I don't want to get 1v1 by Skarmory, but honestly, like I'm fine just Roxing, Rapid Spinning, Terrastar Storm to keep it low, and then like roaring it out. This is our failsafe as well to Gouging Fire outside of Cofagrigus, so we can pretty freely go into Terapagos and then just roar him out on the resisted hit and potentially get rid of whatever booster energy he has. So even if he's like +1 with attack booster, we are in a really good spot because we can roar him out and he won't kill us ever, like even with a crit or anything like that, because it's resisted. So really solid way to enable that. So Terapagos is kind of its main way of doing that. Rocks are kind of hard to get up this game, but if we can get it, it's gonna be really solid here. So next we have a Calm Mind Pheasantipity. We are actually going to be timid. I forgot to put that on. It is a solid set this week in the sense that we outspeed both his Great Tusk and his Gouging Fire. And I was debating Nasty Plot or Calm Mind. I felt like Nasty Plot was probably better, but I liked Calm Mind in the sense that like we can potentially we can just set up on Greninja. So like he can like run Hydro Pump or something. It's not going to do very much unless he's like Specs or something. And I'm expecting more of like an Expert Belt or like some kind of item to switch up his moves with Greninja. Even if he is Specs, it's like just doesn't be so bulky on the spit off side, so it's gonna be great. So Moonblast, Sludge Bomb. Is debating between Sludge Bomb and Heat Wave, but Moonblast he really doesn't have great switch-ins to, and Sludge Bomb is there to also 1v1 the Floette, which is also why we're running Calm Mind. So this is also my Floette check. We do take a lot from Psychic, and something that I was like kind of maybe should run some more Spidef for, but I didn't really have that much time to optimize the EVs. I just kind of was like, more power is good. Roost kind of allows me to, get those good things going. And Sludge Bomb is also a great way to kind of fish for poisons. We can basically have, a 50% chance every time we use it to poison the opponent. Because it's 0.7 each time. So 0.7 times 0.7 is 0.949. So we have basically 50% chance every time we click that we're gonna poison the opponent. So. And it also deals with Floette super effectively. So I felt like it was a good move here, a little bit over Heat Wave, especially versus it does the same amount of damage basically as neutral Moonblast. So I figured, maybe versus a Great Tusk, or sorry, Gouging Fire matchup, we potentially get fish for toxic poisons. Okay, so next up we have Iron Defense Body Press Cough. So in a matchup where I feel like Sinistcha is kind of not great, I think this has a lot of merit here. Nightshade gives us a way to break subs on something like a sub Floette, so that he can't just Calm Mind and sub in my face with Wish, and potentially, break us down with yeah, I don't think that's in a super likely set because of the fact that we do have a Pheasantipity, but if he has a way of dealing with Pheasantipity and then just running Sub Wish, Moonblast, Calm Mind, then that could be kind of annoying. Again, Nelly Furtado is a good way to deal with that, but I just wanted a way to just Nightshade. Nightshade just felt more consistent to me, because it does slightly more damage in most scenarios than Shadow Ball, and honestly we're going to be clicking Body Press most of the time anyway, so the only thing we missed out on is Shadow Ball doing more damage to potentially Skarmory and Sinistcha, but versus Skarmory I could just Iron Defense in its face and then just get max Body Press and then just Nightshade it down. Pain Split in situations where I'm getting low. Now if he's running Toxic, that could suck, but I don't know if he can really afford to run Toxic with something like Pheasantipity. He can really just spam hazards, and hopefully we have Terapagos healthy enough where we can Rapid Spin. So that's the main thing. This is kind of a good Gouging Fire, all right, you're gonna try to set up, okay, let me do that too. So Iron Defense and do that in your face, and then also get offensive pressure as well. So Okay, so the Swallow set, maybe not the most optimal, but we're running Facade, Brave Bird, U-turn, Protect. Protect's kind of just the last move, whatever. Could have run Quick Attack and probably should have, but that's fine. Brave Bird is going to be a really solid move and click into Great Tusk. Can basically kill after, very likely to kill after rocks. If not, it's still doing like 93 to 110. Just a great amount of damage to that thing. Just get it low and put it in something like a potentially first impression range from our what's it called? Slithering. I don't know why I couldn't say that. Peep the name, by the way, on Pheasantipede. But Sxvii also just has great coverage. Or great stab versus his team. He really does not have great switches to this. Like, everything except Skarmory gets to a KO'd, if not dies. And then we have the ability to just, like, U-turn out on that Skarmory matchup and bring in Delphox and click buttons. So I felt like it was a really solid, like, early game Pokemon. We do have to be a little bit wary of something like even something like Lead Gouging Fire. I feel like that's fine here. I think, honestly, this is a great lead matchup into his team, because we can just like protect depending on the set, or like U-turn. We really want to get that Flame Orb off, and then after that we're in a really good spot. So yeah, this would have been a solid lead here. I ended up leading something else, but you'll see. So anyway, we're gonna have, last but not least, we have Slitherwing, a defensive Slitherwing with Rocky Helmet. Great Tusk check. Low kick does the same amount of close combat to most of the things that I want to hit outside of Skarmory, but it still does 80 base power, which is fine. Basically, I'm going to be clicking U-turn most of the time. Even if he's Rocky Helmet Skarm, that's fine by me. I take literally like 25% from anything Great Tusk wants to click. Even if he clicks knockoff, he's still taking chip from Rocky Helmet. If he doesn't, then he's doing 60% to himself and still can't knock off. still going to be continuously taking Rocky Helmet chip. So definitely a really solid matchup this week, and first impression kind of gives me a failsafe versus something like Greninja. I actually don't know if it's higher priority than Water Shuriken. I think it is. I think it's +2, whereas Water Shuriken's +1. Warning Stone gives me a longevity. U-turn is really going to be the standard click here, versus stuff like his Gouging Fire or Skarmory switching in, and then yeah, we just have a lot of bulk here. So really solid. I think the speed is just for like Skarmory creeping, no speed Slithering for some reason. So anyway, we're gonna get right into the battle. So he's gonna have a pretty scary team. He basically brings everything that I was most scared about. So yeah, and then also Galvantula I felt like was like kind of scary, and like again, just another reason why Ogerpon was defensively not very good this match. So can deal some great offensive damage to his team, and outspeeds, has great speed tiers, but gets outsped by Gren and really kind of didn't improve my matchup. I wanted a Pokemon that, like, two Pokemon that could like guaranteed outspeed Gren if he wasn't Garf, and then can also apply similar offensive pressure, which I feel like Swallow could do. So Pheasantipede also has a sprite now, so that's awesome. I literally didn't while I was playing the game, and then like a day later it got added, so that was kind of cool that like in the midst of us playing the game, or the midst of a day of me using it, it got added, so maybe that game was the thing. So I'm actually going to lead Pheasantipede here. I actually didn't have a U-turn, but I just figured it matched up pretty well into everything. Like I guess it didn't super match up well into Gouging Fire. Like, again, I think Swallow would have been a better lead matchup here. I was just a little bit worried about Skarmory lead, but I guess if I was worried about Skarmory leading Pheasantipede was not the best here. Kind of bluffs U-turn, but at the same time, if he does lead something like his Great Tusk, then we can get a pretty free switch into our Slitherwing and then get a ton of momentum after that, because we kind of have a pretty telegraphed series of plays, because he really only has one switch into Slitherwing. So he's gonna end up doing that. He goes and leads his Great Tusk as we have Pheasantipede out on the board. Again, Pheasantipede really solid here, but we don't know what his set is. He could be Scarf, and even then, if we were like a Shuckleberry variant, wouldn't really want to risk him just clicking Raw Headlong Rush. Do I think he'll actually click it? I don't know, but no need to predict that. So even if you click something like Knockoff here, I'm fine going to my Slitherwing here. So we go with Slitherwing. He goes for Headlong Rush. That does a lot of damage. That does like adamant damage. So he's definitely adamant. Great Tusk with Headlong Rush, and we can U-turn out here pretty safely on what I assume to be Skarmory here, and he's going to take Rocky Helmet Chip, so he's not like protective pads or anything, and he's not leftovers either, which is good to know. So I'm thinking it might be Scarf, just based on that series of plays. He doesn't end up actually being Scarf, but we're going to U-turn. He's not leftovers. He's not leftovers, or he's not Rocky Helmet, two of which I'm very, very happy to not see. So him not being leftovers is great because it means that we can very easily threaten the Skarm with Flamethrower. So it means I'm going to get a pretty free Side Shock off. He might be like free, like he could have stayed in there and clicked rocks. Yes, very true, but like it's still early in the game. I think he's still very valuing rocks, and if he can get the play right, just like, okay, he's going to go for Flamethrower here. Side Shock feels pretty no drawback to me. Like I feel like Skarmory going down, especially in a team versus Slitherwing, you really got to be careful about that thing going down, because then he does not have great switch-ins to Slitherwing at this point. He doesn't know a lot about my set, so I could just be like very defensive U-turn with like 3 attacks, or yeah, 3 attacks Morning Sun, which is what I am. But I'm going to go Side Shock here. It's going to do a ton to Snorlax, and we have 2 great switch-ins here. I'm going to just utilize my Slitherwing. Like, I am taking a very little from his Great Tusk, and at this point, he's going to make a solid play and double out into his Floette. But again, we have a very easy switch into this, which is our Delphox, so we can go right back out into Delphox. I think he was probably predicting my Cofagrigus maybe, but again, I have a pretty telegraphed series of plays here. And he's going to go for Baton Pass and try to bring out his Snorlax again. I don't have to get this play right. I can just go into my Slithering. Obviously, if he pairs me, that's going to suck, but it's going to do very, very little to me, as he does 9% with Crunch, and he's going to take Rocky Helmet Chip, which is great because this should put him in range of Flamethrower into Side Shock. So I basically can just click Flamethrower now with my Delphox. Obviously, I got to be a little bit careful about Gouging Fire coming in, but that is neither here nor there. So I'm going to U-turn again, pretty freely, just going to kind of U-turn around his team, just kind of making great use of him not having Rocky Helmet, and I probably would have Morning Sun there if he was not Rocky Helmet, which would have given a little bit of momentum in the Skarm, but I could have U-turned out into, maybe not Terapagos, but taking a little bit of damage on Delphox, but it would have been fine. Well, because I guess I can, just Morning Sun and then U-turn, and then I go into Delphox, and I'm still not out of rocks yet, so I'm going to go for the Dazzling Gleam here because I was like really, really expecting him to want to try to go Greninja, because Greninja covered both me going for Flamethrower and Psyshock, and him going Greninja would have just been an absolute blessing to me. Obviously, he doesn't want to risk that, and that was me assuming that he was like a Scarf Greninja. But again, I think in hindsight, just clicking Flamethrower was like very easily the play. Like, does give him a pretty free switch into Gouge after, but that's completely fine by my standards. And now I'm basically forced to go for Flamethrower here. He's going to bring Snorlax in. He does not want to risk his Gouging Fire taking damage, but at this point, we can go for Psyshock, and he has no switch in. So, going to kind of go with the more obvious plays here. I feel like Sully kind of gets me a lot of the time because he's really good at anticipating my over predictions. So I have been better about not over predicting, especially but I think versus Sully, I think he just is prone to making very kind of plays in my head. I feel like kind of really jeopardize his game plan a little bit. But I think at that point in the game, I think he was willing to risk Skarmory because worst case scenario, he's like, all right, shoot, he's probably gonna over predict here. I think Flamethrower just felt a little too obvious versus Pokemon Gouging Fire coming in, stuff like that. So Dazzling Gleam was what I thought a solid mid-ground, and I thought I'd honestly do more to Skarmory. Being at 69% is good, but yeah. So now he's going to go into Gouging Fire on the Delphox. He's actually booster speed, which is really interesting, which means that if he goes for Dragon Dance here and I had something like Encore, that would be amazing. So I think, honestly, running an Encore Delphox would have been phenomenal here, because then that just means okay, I just honestly might even just switch 6-0 his team. Maybe not because of Gouging Fire, but we basically lock him into that, and then we can just go for Dazzling Gleams or Psyshocks and just cook. So him being booster speed was very interesting. Dragon Claw actually doesn't do a whole lot if he's booster speed, because Gouging Fire does have only 115 attack. In order for him to get booster speed, he can't be super invested in it. So, unfortunately, though, I do have to go Terapagos, which is still fine, though, because we can get in for safely, and then he goes for Dragon Dance, so we can just roar him out. And, yeah, so he loses booster. He does, unfortunately, get Tusk. Any other Pokemon I'd be fine with. I don't believe that his Floette can kill me. from this range of health. His Skarmory damn well cannot. So we get the 1 and 4 where it's like, oh, dude, that really blows. Because otherwise we could have just Rapid Spin for free versus any Pokemon. But that being said, I felt that he would overpredict here. Because Fezandipiti coming in felt a little bit telegraphed. So did Cofagrigus. Cofagrigus and Fezandipiti are very obvious switches in this scenario, right? Because I'm expecting close combat, especially if he's Scarf, right? Like, that means he has to play a little bit more aggressively with his plays, and he has to be really, like, careful, right? Rapid Spin is not a safe click because Cofagrigus, I have not revealed it to be that as my play. I'm going to get my laundry real quick. I will be right back. All right, resuming back where we left off. So I basically, in my head, I just had this gut feeling that that Sxvii would overpredict here because, well, not overpredict necessarily, but just think I would stay in. And I thought so too, but honestly, Second Track Ghost isn't the worst thing in the world. It's not like a great range of HP. Obviously 1v1 Skarm, but I was like, you know what? Why do that when I can get so much offensive pressure if I just Rapid Spin here? So I'm gonna go for Rapid Spin. And so basically rocks are off the field, and now I threaten a KO in this Tusk, unless he's Scarf, which I'll find out here. So if he's Scarf, that's perfectly fine, because then we basically get a free switch into Delphox again, and he's in a really tough spot there, because, like, yeah, he still has, what's it called, Gouging Fire, but, beautiful water. Sorry guys, doing the laundry definitely, was something I needed to do. So, sorry about the delay. But yeah, Terra Starstorm here, pretty free. He's ended up going Gouging Fire. It's going to do a lot of damage, just 45%. So he's still a little bit very Spidef. Like, he has a good amount of HP and maybe even a little Spidef. But that being said, it still does 45. So actually kind of a low roll depending on his investment. I think that was actually like a min roll, like based on what he had to invest in order to first, like, amount of HP that he had to have to like outspeed Delphox or whatever, or amount of speed that I don't know, but definitely a lower roll. And so we're just gonna keep Terra Starstorming. I'm perfectly fine with this exchange. It keeps Gouging Fire low, and if he wants to keep doing this, we can potentially crit him, wasting on a Morning Suns. I'm fine getting rid of all my Terra Starstorm PP and then just going for like Stealth Rocks or something like that. So yeah, and then like we just roar him out, and he has to like go for the kill there, and then we just bring in something like our what's it called, Cofagrigus, or well, probably more like Cofagrigus. But keeping this thing low is great. So we're gonna go for Terra Starstorm again. He just basically cuts his losses and goes into Skarm, but this like 2-hit KOs it. I do not want this thing setting up more rocks, so I'm just gonna kill it right here. Awesome, rocks are no longer an issue unless he has great Tusk Cap rocks as well. This screams Battle Bond, and even though if he's Scarf or Battle Bond, I do not know. Either way, Fezandipiti is a very good switch here, so pretty free as well here. Goes for Water Shuriken. He ends up getting 5 hits, which doesn't really end up mattering, but the Black Sludge really going to come in clutch here, and basically only going to mean we take 22%. We'd be a little bit higher range of health if not, and potentially live this Gouging Fire hit, but we're just going to go for Sludge Bomb here. I'm perfectly fine with like potentially 2-hit him. Nasty Plot would have been a little bit better because we could have gotten what, like 30 something % off, and definitely made it a little bit harder for him to just set up in our face. At this point, I could go hard in Cofagrigus, assuming the Morning Sun's coming off, and go for like Iron Defense or into Pain Split. But that still felt a little bit preemptive, and honestly, I was just kind of like testing my luck here, so I'm just gonna, like, was that probably the right play? Yeah, probably. But I knew that it was probably, and it was in my favor to get the poison at some point here, whether that be toxic poison or not. It's gonna basically put the Gouging Fire in a timer for the rest of the game, which is really ideal what I want. So especially if we can get the Protect off, that's another reason why I like Protect on Swellow with Fezandipiti, is we can really get racking up that damage on toxic poison. So he's gonna get toxic, which is great. It's way better in my opinion than potentially regular poison, because it means that he can't just like Morning Sun in something's face like Cofagrigus. So we're gonna call Kofag here. He's gonna try to go for Morning Sun to try to beat this 1v1, whereas I'm just going to go for Iron Defense. And then Body Press is so free here, like, even if he goes to, like, Tusk, like, that's fine. It does a ton to Floette as well. So it does 44% Floette, amazing. Can pretty freely go Delphox here. He gives him for Moonblast. It doesn't, it does a little bit over a third. I'm fine with that. Psyshock is very free here. And even though Psyshock is free, I can click Dazzling Gleam here because it still kills the Gouging Fire, and if he wants to make the aggressive switch into Greninja here, we can go for the Dazzling Gleam. So it doesn't kill, but it does very, very, very close to. Don't know what the bulk was in that, but that was definitely a roll to kill. That's fine. I'm fine with that. I mean, he might have been some bulk, or like maybe like enough bulk to live that hit, because maybe he didn't need a ton of speed there, just enough to outspeed Ogerpon, and like the rest in special attack. So yeah, it's gonna be a really great spot for us. I'm gonna go Pheasantipity because I still don't know if this thing is. It's probably not Scarf, but I just didn't want to risk anything with it. So we're gonna just go hard Pheasantipity here. He's going to sack off his Gouging Fire as we go for Calm Mind. And at this point, I can pretty freely go for Sludge Bomb because I know I guaranteed outspeed this thing. And yeah, so... we end up going Kofag. He tries to Rapid Spin to get the speed boost there. Could have also gone into Slithering, but I felt like Topagrigus was a fine play here. Pretty free to go for Nightshade here. Kills the Greninja, does a good chunk to Great Tusk, like does 3 KO at that point, which is fine. Does more than Body Press. We can just, Iron Defense in its face, and, so I'm going to go for Nightshade. 2 kills the Floette. I could have, honestly, just stayed in and clicked Nightshade again, but I didn't know if he had, like, Light of Ruin or something. Probably not, but, didn't want to risk that, so we can pretty freely go into Delphox here, as he's going to make the Baton Blast play again and go into his Gren. Pretty free, again, Pheasantipity play. If he has U-turn, that's fine. He's going to make the Great Tusk play again, try and at any cost to try to save Differential here, which is understandable. Or potentially try to win. I don't know what his play was, but I didn't want to take too much damage on Kofag because Kofag being at full is kind of nice for stuff like Greninja or that. So I think, honestly, Slitherwing is doing its part in just chipping this Great Tusk down. Not really into any range of anything, just trying to play this thing safe. I still do not know if this thing is Scarf. More than likely it's not because he's running Spin. So I'm going to go for... I should have honestly gone for Morning Sun there. Just to... just get health on this thing, but I felt like U-turn was fine because I just figured he would go into something like Floette and sack it off or something, but I think him staying with Tusk makes a lot more sense there. So it's fine though. We're going to just go for U-turn out our Cofagrigus. Now that he's +1, we basically have to go into our Cofagrigus because we don't have any other play. Everything else takes a lot of damage from it, and this is the only thing that doesn't take a ton of damage. So we're going to go for Nightshade here, and just take it out. So another kill for Cofagrigus, which is nice. Goes into Gren. We can pretty freely go in Pheasantipity here, even if he makes a double into... Like, he really has no play he can really make to win this game. He does get the crit on Dark Pulse, which does put us in potentially crit range for Psychic, which is fine. I'm willing to make that risk, so we're going to go for Sludge Bomb. If he crits a Psychic, we still win with Delphox. He does not, and we end up winning the game with Pheasantipity. Pheasantipity getting 3 kills there. Really awesome. Okay, so that being said, let's get on to week number 3 of, or battle number 3, which is going to be the Vancouver Golducks versus BSC of the Boston Centrists. Jotun versus, what's his name? Ayer. Okay, so looking at the matchup, Jotun definitely has some difficulty breaking through this team. I feel like Ting-Lu just craps on this team, like, just very hard. Now, something like T-Spikes could be annoying. What's it called? Boston Centrists don't really have... I guess, Slow King is there, but, Slow King doesn't love switching to Skuntank, so Skuntank could be a really good way to break through this team with, like, knockoff, but I think Corviknight's going to be kind of annoying as well, so you got to be a little bit careful there. But honestly, you could run something like a Taunt Corviknight, like a Taunt Black Sludge Skuntank with, like, Aftermath. I think that's actually a really, really solid bring this week because, number one, you could just knock off Ting-Lu and potentially go for something like Toxic. Like, Toxic and Knockoff are great, and then you can, like, Taunt. So I think Taunt, Knockoff, maybe something for Corviknight, but honestly, you don't really need it. Maybe they just Sucker for Dragapult. I could see that. And then, yeah, like, just Toxic or Taunt is really all you need. Because then you can chip Tinglu down. You just got to get that play right, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Yeah, Tinglu looks great here. Jitun's hazard removal is kind of bad. So, you probably kind of got to rely on something like Talon, maybe? Talon has okay matchup here because it resists Tinglu. But it's not amazing. It does decent with Corviknight, so I think honestly a Defog Talon probably gotta come. Megalops probably gotta come. Great for like Mach Punch or something to like Swords Dance looks decent. If you can kind of chip down the Corviknight, it's in a really good spot. I think Corviknight actually has a little bit of a trouble to staying at full, which is gonna be his main Lopunny check. So obviously Bronzong is there as well, and Bronzong has looks like it is really good matchup. So gotta be a little bit careful with that one. I think you might have to bring something like especially with the ghost type, like Body Press goes absolutely crazy here. Like what in the Jitun? What is Jitun's answer to that? I guess like Landorus and just like clicking knock and hoping for the best. But if he's like rest Body Press, like that does damage. So he's got to really careful with that. And maybe he'll run like special Talonflame or something. So we'll see what they run. I'm getting a little behind here, so we'll just get right into it. So he ends up bringing pretty similar to what we expect. Granbull is going to be here. I assume to be able to sponge what's it called? But like you don't really need to sponge Draco Meteors. I think Granbull gets rocks, right? Probably just another Lopunny check. Because, yeah, you don't really want to be switching close combat super freely. So having something like Granbull is nice. Though it does block Intimidate. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Alright, we'll turn music off. Or just mute it, honestly. So he ends up leading Lopunny. Good to just get some free things off. But he's going to lead Bronzong. And, like, looking at this team, Bronzong does really great. So I would just U-turn here. But he does Fake Out, which is fine. Same thing. Reveals leftovers, so it's good to know. Getting a U-turn. I think Swords Dance would have been nice here to just kind of, like, beat things 1v1. But U-turn is also fine as well. And he's probably going to go into Landorus. No, he goes into Skuntank. Okay. Gonna get up rocks, which kind of sucks, but I can see Defog probably because of the fact that you want to be able to get rid of stuff. Knockoff is great, though, in the Tinglu, which is awesome. And, yeah, now what sucks about Skuntank is you can't really stay in, and you got to go into something like Landorus. Probably leftovers Landorus. Oh, no, it's not. Okay. It's gonna be U-turn, does damage with Rocky Helmet. Yeah, it sucks because, yeah, like leftovers would be nice, Defog. This team is gonna be kind of struggling versus Hazard, so I think running Boots would have been kind of nice. Like, this team has very limited knockoffers, so running something like Boots would have been solid. I guess you could run, like, Ruination Tinglu, but with Blissey being around, it's gonna be nice with, like, Wish support, so, to just kind of play around. He's going to defog away Hazard, which is nice. Is this Black Sludge? Yeah, so Black Sludge on this is fine. He's going to taunt. As he goes for Ruination, he actually doesn't rock the Earthquake, or at least not from what we can see. Ruination is honestly perfectly fine as well. Though I think, honestly, Ruination Earthquake is really solid, both of which into this team. What that last move is, we may never know, but Knockoff. This Tinglu is taking some chip. And this is also a Life Orb Landorus. Again, maybe there's some calcs that would have helped you out there, but again, versus this Corviknight, I don't know if that's maybe the best option. He's gonna run Defog Corv. Yeah, so this is gonna be a tough, long game. But it's just gonna kind of be a matter of who can kind of get the better footing here. So Whoosh into the Skuntank gets that thing back to full. Which is great, so you can pretty freely just defog here, which is what I would do. Just get rid of those hazards and potentially just try to get damage on this Tinglu. You're going to taunt again to hopefully get rid of spikes, make it play right, and he goes down to Blissey. Going to miss Ruination, which sucks for Air. But, you know, Wish is there, so most likely you can get him Lando here. But he goes for Seismic Toss just to make sure this Blissey stays full. But he's also going to get in Landorus, which is amazing for this thing. So again, yeah, Life Orb kind of just showing how it's kind of not getting the mileage Jotun ones. I think Leftovers would have just been way better there. But again, you can't really do much to Corviknight. I honestly think a Taunt Landorus would have been amazing there, because you get up rocks and then you can prevent stuff like Defog from Corviknight. So I think like a Taunt Leftovers Earthquake U-turn set would have been just like phenomenal here, because you also prevent something like Bronzong from setting up. Now, knockoff is also kind of nice, so maybe you want something like knock instead of U-turn, which I honestly could respect. Like, I don't think you necessarily need U-turn on this team, and getting, like, knocking this team's items is, like, so valuable. But you definitely want Earthquake for just, like, solid damage into stuff. Honestly, like, if you really want to just run, like, knock without Earthquake, that's fine, because, like, the only thing it's really nice for is, like, Darmanitan. So you could honestly run, like, knock U-turn, and honestly, that's, like, not crazy to do that, because you're getting up rock. So I think that would have been like a more optimal set from Jotun's part. I think Stone Edge kind of like, what are you running Stone Edge for? Like just hitting the Corviknight harder? Like in my head, that doesn't really make that much sense, right? Like I guess you want Earthquake for Slowking, but you have knockoff. Like you know that he's probably gonna not really want to stay in that scenario. So yeah, I think that would have been you need a Stallbreaker Landorus set in this matchup. You need a Stallbreaker set, because this is a very defensive team, and like this is also a team that struggles with staying healthy, right? Like he could run maybe rest Ting-Lu, because he really can just kind of sit on things, and if you don't have the setup, like he doesn't really need to do anything. So, a little unfortunate, but that's fine. Jotun could definitely still win this game, but he has to get a lot of these taunt plays right. And now he's going to run Earthquake, and it's looking tough for the kid. So, yeah, he's going to go for Ruination, put Landorus at really low range of health. Again, Leftovers set would have been great. You would have potentially prevented Defog and stuff. Going to get rid of Helmet on the Corviknight. He's going to go for Brave Bird. He goes for U-turn. Into Gren, which is pretty free. Into Blissey, though, I would be a little bit, or Klefki, sorry, I would be a little worried about like the low kick into this Greninja. He ends up being probably Light Clay Klefki, as he goes for Thunder Wave, which is going to be kind of nice into getting this Corviknight in a position where it's just kind of being annoyed. But it does get slow U-turn, which sucks. And again, I think setting up screens versus the team with Defog, it felt a little bit off to me. I was debating running screens on Grimmsnarl as well, but I just felt like it was difficult in this matchup. So I'm going to kind of skip around because this is a very long game, but it's basically going to consist of Jotun having a good game plan with like Wish, but I just think that like Taunt with Landorus would have been a lot better. And yeah, like I think his game plan should have been revolved around knocking off Bronzong, because you're going to see basically Bronzong ends up just like setting up rocks and then just like Iron Defensing, and then he really has no answer to it, because like what is his body press switching does not exist, right? It's Landorus, which is a Life Orb variant, which is just not conducive at all. Heavy Duty Boots or Life Orb would have been absolutely peak here, because like if you can get Blissey and Wish and then you just like switch out your Landorus and then you can like threaten this thing with like knockoff Taunt, like he can't rest if he's like running that, he can't Iron Defense up, like if you're knockoff, like, I mean, yeah. So I think knockoff U-turn / Earthquake, and then Taunt Stealth Rock, amazing here, because you force up rocks versus stuff like Corviknight, and then you could like Corviknight you 1v1 because of the fact that you're taunting it, and like what is his best thing you can do? Brave Bird U-turn, like you're getting that back if you're Leftovers, and if you're not, like he's taking chip and he's gonna really in a really bad spot. And then you can U-turn versus something like Ting-Lu, and you're just in a great situation. So, and you also keep up rocks, and you've already knocked this thing. So, Skuntank and Landorus made a really good core versus this team, but I just think it was like not the best executed. And Klefki has amazing matchup here too. So, like this was a very, very winnable matchup for Jotun. Obviously, Ting-Lu is really annoying versus this team, and Corviknight has some like good matchups into you, but he's getting kind of lucky with paralysis, and that's nice for him, and he's getting some good health back on this thing, but like one play wrong and it's just over. So yeah, Landorus is in. Like again, you're kind of forced to just like take Life Orb chip, which isn't really what you want to do. There was probably some calcs he was like, oh wow, this like kills with Life Orb, but like what do you like? My head is like, what are you killing with Life Orb that you aren't otherwise, like your Earthquake, Stone Edge, what die, like Grand Bull maybe, I don't know. So he's gonna go for I know there's a point where he misses Draco, which kind of sucks. So he's gonna have a Ruination, goes to Wrong Zong, he's probably gonna use Stealth Rocks, okay, awesome. U-turn instead of hard switching, which I don't know if I agree with, because now if you can't get off rocks off the field, then you're in a really bad spot. Now you have to default them away, so like, why did you even get them off in the first place? But Tinglu's taking chip, so, you know, does suck that Skuntank doesn't get a pivoting move, because that would make this a little bit easier. But he defogs now, and now you're going to take probably a lot of damage from the Earthquake, yep, because you can't really do anything else. Whirlwinds him out. Skuntank comes back in, gets a little bit of health, which is nice. Blissey comes out again, gets Ruinationed. Don't know, I feel like Earthquake would maybe kill there, I don't know. Or at least do good damage. Maybe possibly get him to protect. But brings back Skuntank, gets that health back. Probably taunts. No, he goes for knockoff. I would taunt here, yeah, so you can't get back health with Corviknight. Which is fine, yeah, because like you turn around, what can Greninja really do to you? So like again, this was a great opportunity to just show like, yeah, what can Skuntank, like what can hit Skuntank? Like he doesn't even have to, he's not even clicking Toxic, and he's in such a good spot. If he had something like Toxic and got that play right in Tinglu, like that thing's just over, like, and then he just goes into something like his Lander, or like into his Blissey, though I would be a little bit cautious of that at this point. So he's gonna go for Earthquake here, which again, very, very free. And can intimidate Granbull. He's going to try to Drain Punch to get some health back. He's probably Rocky Helmet. He's not. He's Leftovers instead. And get some U-turn. Drain Punch was solid Bring, no. But now he gets T-Waved by the Granbull, which is really, really bad. I feel like Klefki's got to be your switch there. Like, you do not want to ever risk health or any of Skuntank's stuff. Like, you don't know what this Granbull can do. So I think that was a huge misplay. It was not going Klefki. Like, what is Klefki doing in this match? Get some play rough chip. Get some what's it called? I know Earthquake was really good into this. Maybe even just sack Lando. Like, I think sacking Lando wasn't like that crazy of a play, because what is Lando doing for your team? And if you get that play right, which you would have if you'd gone that Lando, and you could potentially get a rocks and then just die, and then you can maybe keep them up if you can get some plays right. So now you're paralyzed, which like just sucks for this. Like literally cripples this Skuntank, because now you're in a position where you cannot taunt stuff like Tinglu or potentially this Corviknight if you get parried. So like it puts him in a tough spot. I think if he gets paralyzed here, which he doesn't, which is great, but he U-turns, which is like, ugh. So now Tinglu goes, and yeah, you gotta go Blissey, but like you can also get Earthquakes here. Are you gonna go into Landorus here? No, you just die. Oh no, you don't. Okay, so he lives on one. Could have been a roll. Probably goes for spikes here. Oh, I didn't know Whirlwind worked through Protect. Okay, awesome. But yeah, now you can get Whirlwinded out, so that's a really great situation for you. So you can U-turn. Now Blissey's basically dead. So you can like kind of, yeah, I think he's like trying to play around it, but see here, protecting again, trying to get Blissey into a range where it can potentially wish. Thunder Wave would be great on this Klefki, but you know you can't really do anything about it. And now Corviknight can get some health back, which was not the ideal situation, because then your Lopunny could have just like done a lot of work. So yeah, I think Reflects in Light Screen were like kind of a tough bring here, and Body Press Corviknight's gonna be pretty good here. Blissey was a great bring, but I think just some suboptimal stuff. So U-turns, position. I'm waiting for that Draco miss. So he goes for Earthquake. Again, can you go for Drain Punch here? You go for Return. Like, what do you do? He goes for Return. Great play. Get some more health on that Granbull. A little bit nice. Yep, get some chip. Yeah, so going into that Klefki, amazing. Would have liked to see some leftovers here, because then you would have had a much better longevity versus stuff like the Dragon Bolt and such. Or even like Magnet Rise. I think that could have been a good bring, because then stuff like his Granbull can't hit you, or his Tinglu outside of Ruination. So in a Seismic Toss, I would have 100% gone for Wish there. Okay, wait, sorry. I'm behind because I'm just so bored. Roost, boom, bada bang. And basically just culminates in like him getting, because now he defogs, but now like he's kind of getting 1v1 by Corviknight, and it's like, okay, where's this going? Gets U-turned on. King Lu comes out because he didn't get toxic. Like, if this thing got toxic, like, chef's kiss. So now he can kind of just get up spikes. Seismic toss. Is mirror armor not pressure? Makes sense versus a Lander's team. Yeah, getting parried there sucks, but like, what can you really do? So now the spike is there to stay. Now Ninja can force a kill. And it ends up getting that. So now the spikes are there, guaranteed. I think this is where the Draco miss happens. So Thunderclap, he goes for Draco, misses. Ugh, that sucks. Because now you're going to go Grand Bull and yeah, that's crazy. That does so much damage to the Grand Bull, by the way. I don't know if that Draco killed, but I assume it did, considering how much it did to Grand Bull. So Draco probably did a good chunk. And then you could have ult switched after on that next turn. So very, very much sucks. I think Jatan definitely would have been still in this game, but I think the crux of the matter is, like, now you've lost your Skun Tank, and now spikes are just gonna like dominate your team, and it's just gonna be a game of like trying to fight back versus this. And you also have Infiltrator Dragapult. So again, I don't think screens were the proper bring this week. I think like a Magnet Rise, Play Rough. Like kind of a similar variant that I brought to Grimmsnarl, but like you actually have the opportunity to like he can't really hit you super hard with what's it called, Greninja. Like, yeah, like I don't know, like you screens are nice, and like what are you really running outside of that? But at least you could have run something like I don't know what you could have run for Bronzong. Maybe like a rest League Talk set, like Draining Kiss or something. I don't know. Who knows? But gonna kind of take this over with Bronzong, and that's gonna be the game. So unfortunate loss for Jatan. I think that definitely was winnable. The Draco miss sucks, but at the end of the day, I think that it was really just not running something like Toxic on Skun Tank, and like the Life Orb Landorus was just like in my head the biggest like outlier here, where like it really just kind of sold the game because it's just too much shit. So okay, moving on to our next matchup, which is going to be Sean versus Inker, which is TPA. Oh, love this song, by the way. So looking at this this matchup here, I feel like Tinkaton looks amazing here. Like he really has, like his only way of really dealing with Tinkaton is Iron Moth, and Tentacruel pretty easily deals with that. And then stuff to deal with Tentacruel, Tapu Koko, and such. I feel like Mega Starmie, pretty solid matchup here. He could run like something like Flip Turn, maybe like a Signal Beam for Crest and Iron Leaves, maybe just Shadow Ball, whatever he wants to run. This team has no Ghost Resist, so like other than King Gambit, so maybe just Flip Turn. King Gambit looks really good here, so he can leverage that. Maybe he brings something like Obama Snow too. I could see him bringing that as well. Because it resists the electric moves, and then can potentially fire back with some massive damage on stuff, and like Aurora Veil could be annoying. Blacephalon looks pretty good here with like a Scarf. Scarf Shadow Ball looks insane. And then Zero Aura with Electric Terrain also looks like it could kind of win this game. So, okay, so and then TPA into Sean's team. Iron Moth, Iron Leaves, Crest. Crest looks really good here. Can't really be stopped by too much. Tapu Koko's very likely coming because it's a good Zero Aura check, but like it still can potentially get 1v1, so you gotta be careful about that. Does he bring the Starmie here? Maybe. It does have pretty good offensive matchup here. Does kind of worry about some Zero Aura exploding, but if you can like Rapid Spin or something, it can be really threatening with like Psychic. And like, I guess what are you doing to his... I guess, yeah, Psychic, Thunderbolt, and then maybe like Water Move, like Hydro Pump or something. Could be good. Does kind of, again, that's not amazing. It's something like Obama Snow, but... And then King Gambit's very likely to come in. And then something like Dracovish looks like it's decent. Does do pretty well with like Vicious Rend being Scarf, so... okay, going to the actual game. Pretty... I did remember what some of these players brought, but... I feel like Sean leading Aurora Veil Abomasnow feels pretty good. I'd be a little bit worried about Zero Aura lead if I were Ayer and... Sorry, that was like getting a little loud. Even something like King Gambit or what's it called? Kieran Black lead could be really, really annoying. So I feel like Abomasnow matches up pretty well into everything outside of Iron Moth. Iron Moth could be okay if you're like a booster speed set. You can kind of just like, or like Scarf set, you could just like U-turn on stuff. So that can be really nice. Because Scarf Iron Moth outspeeds every one of Sean's potential Scarfers. So I get definitely like U-turn, yeah, U-turn Fiery Dance with like Sludge Wave, and then like, you know, like something for Tentacruel could be really solid here. Like Discharge, I could see, or even probably more than likely, does it get Psychic? I don't know. I feel like that'd be a little bit better, but like Discharge maybe for Tentacruel. Yeah, I could see that being good. So Dracovish is probably going to be Ayer's lead. Yep, and Sean can pretty freely go into Abomasnow here, take that finish this round. Probably not super well, but still take it. Just 33%, which is insane. That's Scarf damage. That's not even banded. So he goes for Veil. And then he goes into Tinkaton on this most likely CC, and it does 27%. That would have done 50 if that was not Veil. So in my head, I'm like, that does a lot for Veil close combat. So that screams banned to me. So he's pretty freely going to be able to get up rocks or knock off something's item here as he ends up going for the rocks. And then he can pretty freely just knock off here. Like King Gambit really can't do a whole lot back. He maybe try to set up, but he's going to end up getting his own rocks up, which is perfectly fine. I think maybe getting some offensive pressure could be nice, but you also still have Veil up, so you kind of had to play this a little bit slower. So he encores here, which is a great play on Sean's part, so going for, you know, rocks is definitely the play there. Not predicting that, but it does also stall at Aurora Veil turn, so like you can also maybe just go back into something like Abomasnow and get some stuff. But he's going to go for double knock, most likely, you know, and knowing that, Inker is going to switch out. Ends up being Leftovers Coco, so a little bit more of a defensive variant, which makes sense in this matchup. Ends up U-turning into the Iron Leaves, which is going to be a Quark Drive booster attack booster attack choice banded set, which is insane. Does 61%, which is crazy damage. Ends up doing 75% with that close combat. Like, Iron Leaves is crazy. This Pokemon is so strong, but again, it's not quite getting the kills you really want, especially versus a Pokemon like Tinkaton. We know it's probably not adamant, but ends up being knockoff and does confirm that it's Choice Scarf. So it does a whole lot of damage, but that Gigaton Hammer also did probably a little bit more than expected. So Dracovish is going to come out. Abomasnow's pretty free switching here because it's boots, so can take two of those. He's not going to get the roll. If it was a roll, probably not. Aurora Veil here, and then I just sack it off. You could have saved differential, but no need to do that. I think he probably goes... I thought we'd go Kieran Black, but he goes Zero Aura. Does he go for knockoff here? No, he goes for bulk up. And at this point, you can go for the Plasma Fist. You can go for the knockoff. It doesn't really, whatever you want to do. I think Plasma Fist is better because it's most likely Colbur Crest, and that does so much damage to the Tapu Koko. So definitely not switch to the Zero Aura. Veil with bulk up Zero Aura went crazy this matchup. It also outspeeds the Dracovish, so... goes Crest. This Plasma Fist is still going to do a lot of damage, but it is actually going to be very bulky Crest. So the Electric Seed was a great bring on Inker's part to kind of slow this thing down. And at this point, he's like, okay, I know that this thing is going to probably be a nuisance, so I'm going to go into my Tinkaton as he goes for Moonlight to preserve HP. So now this is kind of like an anti-setup variant. I don't know if it's probably fast enough to outspeed Crest all the time, but maybe he just kind of hinge on it not being fast. But can pretty freely go for Encore here if you want to go to something like his Iron Moth there, then that's tough. And also means that you're going to be out of no longer have terrain because you sacked off the Coco. So Quark Drive's going to wear off, which means that it's going to have booster energy. So that's actually a really cool interaction we just saw there. So he brings in the Iron Moth on last turn of terrain. He knocks off that thing. It does like minimal damage. It doesn't actually get the boost from knockoff. And then because he had booster energy, he actually... So it's like a consumable item that can't be knocked off and also doesn't get damage boost like a Mega Stones do, which is actually really interesting. So kind of cool that we saw that interaction there. But he is booster speed, which kind of sucks that he can't preserve that booster. But he's going to get a special attack boost. We'll see if he actually has discharge, and if it actually kills, it probably doesn't, but it's going to do a lot. As he ends up going for rapid spin, which kind of sucks because you'd really like to see that. I think honestly maybe just staying in there and just like trying to get damage on this tentacle, going for something like discharge and then flare. But so I will say though that Aqua Jet can kind of just come that turn after. And let me actually get this this reset right here. But at least, the very least, you can get this in a position where you can you're not taking too much chip on Dragonfish. But again, you can take Fisher's Rend, and Psychic Fangs does a lot. I think just going for Fishes would have been solid damage. But Psychic Fangs only just 28%, which is kind of crazy. That does that little. Shadow Ball also does little, but not that little to Cresselia. So we're gonna Moonlight there, and unfortunately because of the Encore, like this Cresselia really can't do very much. I think switching is probably their best course of action into something like the Iron Leaves. Not running Boots on a Pokemon that you don't have any hazard removal for. Maybe you had Defog Coco, but yeah, I think it was kind of a tough bring here. Fisher's Rend comes out, does 80%. 80%. Yeah, I think going for Fishes there might have been the right play. So he goes for Fishes again. At this point, he can kind of just go into his Zero Aura, and I go for a Bulk Up into Plasma Fist. It's even with a Bulk Up, this is like 50%, which is insane. So he's getting leftovers health, which is great. But he's kind of run away with this game because his Plasma Fist switch and just like this team versus Zero Aura is not great. So goes for Coal Mind. It doesn't have something like Toxic or anything to slow the Zero Aura down. So yeah. Goes for Stored Power. Probably had like Stored Power, maybe like Moonblast or like Thunderbolt for Mandibuzz. But Plasma Fist is going to 2KO, and then he can't even get Sucker because of the defense boost on this thing. So maybe he can like win with like Sucker Crit, and even then like Sucker did 40% with full Supreme Overlord, which is insane. But he has Drain Punch, so that is going to be the game. Sean cooked with the set and played this to an absolute T. I think Inker played well, but I think that there were some prep things that I would have done differently, and then maybe like some random turns. But I think overall it was just a tough matchup in general to overcome. So okay, moving on to the Miami Dawn fan versus the, what did they play? Oh, Tampa Bay Lightning Rods. I had to remind myself. On paper, Iron Valiant looks insane. Yeah, like the combination of Close Combat, Moonblast, like Nidoqueen is a solid answer, but like Psychic move, and then yeah, it's looking grim for the Iron Valiant switches. It outspeeds the entirety of the team, especially with booster speed. So yeah, kind of the downside to having your fastest Pokemon be superior. So we're two great Scarfers in Tapu Lele and Hydreigon. But speaking of superior, it also looks really good here. If you can get some Leaf Storms off and then like Dragon Pulse, looks really solid. Petrant could kind of be annoying for it, but it's definitely, and more than likely Scizor. But it kind of just like glare stuff. It'd be kind of annoying. Hydreigon looks decent here, but you just gotta kind of position it right. Gallade looks insane here as well, but again, versus Petrant, you gotta be a little careful because it can kind of just like sponge it. Scizor is also a solid Gallade check, so and then something like Noivern can kind of just like outspeed that and be annoying. So we'll see what these two end up bringing. It ends up bringing Noivern, Chi-Yu, and then Seismitoad as well. Seismitoad looks okay, but we'll see. So I think best lead on. I also think that this team looks a little bit Scizor weak, so it's got to be a little careful because like I don't really see great ways of offensively dealing with Scizor. I think Melmetal would have been way better in this matchup. Like I get that you're probably gonna see a Rocky Helmet, Petrant, but if you can find a way to beat that, then you're in a really good spot because I guess the Scizor beat I don't think Melmetal gets Fire Punch, but at the very least you're like resisting both of its stabs, so it can't like win the end of the game just outright. I guess it could like Close Combat, U-turn, Bullet Punch, but at least like something. And then, like, the only thing that Petra can really do back to is like last you got Shadow Wall. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that Melmetal would have been a great bring this matchup, but I digress. Maybe like Chople or something, but I feel like it still would have done damage to Petra. I honestly don't know what leads are. Probably Nidoqueen on this side, and then like maybe Rotom on Cooley's side. Ends up being Noivern and Nidoqueen. Okay, so I think Rotom would have been a little bit better here as a lead, because obviously like if you lead something like Rotom matched up really well into everything except like maybe Gallade. So if you let like Gallade try to get damage off, but honestly like. Yeah, I could see. Yeah, I think Noivern's a better like early game pivot because like you can versus stuff like Nidoqueen. The only thing you really don't have like great switch-ins to are Gallade. So being able to immediately threaten it, and then by definition be able to go for U-turn. So U-turn coming out here goes Rotom because it resists pretty much all of its moves. Sludge Wave's still going to do a good amount. That looks like Life Orb damage to me. And then he's most likely to go for Sludge Wave here, or he ends up going for Rocks. A good play on Alex's part. Ends up going back into Rotom on the Earth Power. So kind of gauging a little bit of its set. Thinking at this point, oh, I probably doesn't have Sludge Wave. So he goes for Defog, but he ends up going for Ice Beam again. I don't think Ice Beam was ever the play there. I think you always go for Sludge Wave. Because, like, even if you go something like Noivern, like, why would you... Number one, why would you ever go Noivern on a Pokemon he knows have Ice Beam? And number two, even if you go something like Scizor, you can just get up Rocks or, like, Earth Power it. So, yeah, do I love, like, Ice Beam's fine here. I would have liked a Flamethrower because it would have just immediately threatened something like a Scizor. And everything else, like, you know, Sludge Wave, Earth Power, like, just does so much damage to his entirety of the team. Like, if he had Flamethrower here, it'd be really, really tough to beat this. So you can get up Rocks here. Hydro Pump's going to do a ton, though, to this thing. And just kind of put him in a tough position. I think you always kind of go Superior there. To prevent stuff. I think Nidoqueen was a really, really good defensive or like offensive Pokemon in this matchup, especially versus Petron. So now that this thing is weakened, it's in a really tough spot. So now you're in a position where he's most likely going to go Scizor here. So is he going to capitalize on that? If he had Flamethrower, I would have 100% clicked it there because you could have just gotten rid of Scizor right there. So now you're going to be in a position where he can just kind of U-turn and you're kind of just taking chip on Pokemon that you should not want to be taking chip on. So now he brings out Iron Valiant, outspeeds everything with booster speed, and now you're like, alright, well, I guess I gotta go by one answer to this thing, which is, like, Superior, I guess. So Superior comes in, takes 45%, which honestly might even just die to, like, a close combat or something. But thankfully, Cooley switches, and gets glared on his Rotom, but, like, it doesn't matter. I don't know what the thought process behind that was. I think maybe he was, yeah, I was probably expecting glare and then like maybe gonna try to pull a double out into like Scizor or something, but no, he just sacks it off, which is fine, I guess. Like, you kind of like having Rotom here as a sack. I think I would have much rather go Scizor. Like, getting a glare I guess does kind of suck because like now you're potentially getting parried on your win con, so like I can see that. But yeah, I think making the double there on Scizor would have been, because he's not gonna double glare, right? Like you could maybe at that point make the thing, and then if he wants to like sack off his Superior, that's fine. So he ends up Dracoing, getting the miss, and he's going to take a ton from Dragon Pulse, which is, tough. Does not quite get the kill on that, and he ends up getting glared with Noivern. So now you lose one of your checks to Mega Gallade, which is nice. If you're like a Trailblaze set, I can see Trailblaze, like, close combat, Sword Stance, Psycho Cut, just like kind of chopping it up a little bit, but you kind of also got to worry about Mega Scizor. So we can get something like Chi-Yu-Lo or something. I don't know. Like if you're Sword Stance on the Chi-Yu switch and then you get like close combat or something. But you're never really winning the game with that, you know. But it would have been nice versus something like a Rotom. Okay, so he's going to Moonblast into the Tapu Lele switch. Again, just taking a lot of damage on Pokemon. Does a lot with Moonblast. I don't know why. I guess, yeah, you kind of expect Chi-Yu, but like an Expanding Force there just, goes crazy. Actually, I don't think this thing gets Expanding Force, right? But yeah, just Psychic would have gone crazy there. That would have done, if that's Specs, it's very much Specs damage. He's going to U-turn there. Goes into Iron Valiant. Again, outspeeds his whole team. Ends up going Hydra. And goes for a U-turn, which... do I agree with that play? I don't hate it, but I think you're in a position where, like, you got to be a little bit careful, right? I think Dark Pulse felt, well, not Dark Pulse. At least you don't lose your Scarfer, but now you really don't have switch into this thing, right? But you also don't have switch into Chi. So I don't hate that play. Like, I think that's fine. But I think Cooley was just playing aggressively, and now he gets the kill on Superior, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but definitely could have gotten, like, a glare off versus, like, Petron or Chi or something, and that could have been really nice. And now you go into Glade, which I think is fine, but, like, yeah, Psycho doesn't actually Mega there, which is, I don't know. That does nothing, by the way. That's definitely defensive Scizor. Close combat does 45. I think, yeah, puts you in a tough situation. I think Fire Punch would have been, like, a good middle ground to have there if you had it. If not, yeah. So now the Scizor can kind of just do some stuff. It goes Seismitoad as he roosts again. And that's what I'm saying, like, something like Melmetal could have been really good this game because it just kind of prevents Scizor from doing stuff. If it got Burn there, would have been nice, but unfortunately does not. Gets the Shiny Chi with the actual sprite, which is crazy. Ends up getting Scald again. Missing out on all of these burns, which was great. Scald here, or Burn here. No, he does not. Does a lot to Iron Valiant. Did not mean to lose that Earth Power there. Yeah. Yeah, so I think Alex just get a lot of these plays wrong, which is, like, it's fine. I don't know if it's, like, necessarily suboptimal prep. I just think it's kind of like a team issue. Like, I think just, like, the fact that Iron Valiant is such a threat, you just kind of, like, got to get rid of it. And then at this point, you, like, expect to live that hit, and then you can't. Maybe... I don't know. Maybe, yeah, it's a tough situation there. So now you have to go your Hydreigon. Probably go for Flash Cannon because you don't want to... I guess Earth Power. Wait, you had Earth Power this whole time? Yeah, that would have been nice. So he goes into Mega Scizor. Earth Power is not going to 2 KO. And now you're going to be in a position where this thing can just kind of roost and be annoying. Gonna Bullet Punch. I think going into Lele here was probably the right play, and then going for Leaf Blade was just the nail in the coffin, right? Because, like, why would they ever... I guess you could go into something like Iron Valiant and live that, but, like, what is... Like, Leaf Blade's probably not killing, though. So, yeah, that's going to be really unfortunate there. I don't think Leaf Blade was ever the play. I can understand, like, maybe, like, him trying to go Petron or something. Like, you either go for, like... Psycho Cut or Close Combat. It doesn't really matter because he was living anyway, but, like, basically keeps his Scizor at full, which is going to be in a really tough spot. So now he's going to... I would have gone into Lele there hard because at that point you at least could potentially... I mean, you still don't win the game, because, but at least preserves differential, right? Because, like, he has to sack something like Petron or his Scizor in order to Bullet Punch. But at that point, like... he can just kind of roost in your face and then just stall out his Psychic Terrain. And yeah, now he gets that, but, like, how much is Psychic doing? He has 42%. That's so much damage. But yeah, now he gets that. So I think not having Scizor answers was, like, the biggest flaw of this team. Like, what's like, was, I guess it was Seismitoad. Seismitoad's not a reliable answer. And then, like, maybe he hinged on the fact that Tapu Lele was going to be, like, a solid answer against Bullet Punch, but that's just not going to be the case. So yeah, I think well, that was, like, hard to concoct. I think maybe, like, Chople or, like, something to just kind of, like, prevent Scizor. Though I will maybe, like, Rocky Helmet. I kind of just U-turns on it. So Scizor just had a really, really good matchup this game. So kind of tough situation. Okay. Great. Okay. So we're gonna go into Ionite versus BLB. I think that set up Spectre and set up Urshifu, just run ham on this team. Like, what is this team's Spectre answers? It's probably low kicks, which he doesn't even bring, and it's probably like he has to bring low kicks to have some kind of, like, fail save versus Spectre, because otherwise, like, the thing just sets up in something's face and just, like, wins with, like, nasty plot. So yeah, it's got to be really careful here. And Urshifu with setup also does really good, because, like, something like He actually, Ionite was cooking up a great set, and I was around for kind of some of the prepping process of this. He, with some other people, I don't know who helped him come up with the specific set, but it was a Punching Glove, Drain Punch, Sword Stance, Thunder Punch, and Surging Strike set. Punching Glove is great because all those moves are impacted by Punching Glove, and then also means that you get a boost to all those moves, and you don't take contact damage. So stuff like Rocky Helmet, Pex, and Iron Barb's Ferrothorn can't beat you. So at this point, you can pretty freely just go for Sword Stance here. And unless you're like Banded Power Whip that never kills, which honestly I would respect, because like Iron Knight does not have great Ferrothorn defensive switch-ins. So I could respect being like a Banded Ferrothorn in this matchup, or like really offensive Ferrothorn. But he is going to go for Drain Punch here, and he's going to go Toxic Specs. That does very little, but like this is very, very free Thunder Punch at this point. What's awesome is that Baneful Bunker actually doesn't cause poisons. So you can go for Thunder Punch here. But he goes for Surging Strikes. I think that was a very big misplay. You know that, Gliscor can't outspeed you unless it's like Scarf or something. So I don't think you ever make that play. I guess maybe if you were thinking like a Blaziken would come in hard, or like a Latios, and just want to get the max amount of damage. But you do risk this thing just like sitting in your face. And Toxapex isn't like the biggest threat. You kind of actually like it having it around for like Spectre. Like it can kind of like just haze you, but if he ever gets that play wrong and he just like goes for Scald or something, then you also just go for like Shadow Ball and then just like do a ton of damage to it. So he gets a clean like 40% off, like 40% off with that. Does not get burned, which is great. And at this point, you can just go for like Thunder Punch, which he most likely does. But he goes for Surging Strikes again, which is fine. Does a little bit more than Thunder Punch. Would have rather go for Thunder Punch there, but yeah, you know Drain Punch is most likely going to kill this thing. And going to Toxic Specs again. Gonna kind of just put this thing in range of a Thunder Punch even more so. Thunder Punch killed this thing, by the way, and he goes for Surging Strikes, like predicting something like a Gliscor to come, which honestly is like fair to get the Toxic Orb proc, but like now you get burned, and now this thing can just sit there and just Baneful Bunker and be annoying. So I would have probably gone for Sword Stance there, predicting that like he's just gonna try to burn stall you. And yeah, now this Toxapex beats this Sxvii 1v1, which is no bueno. So I think not going for Thunder Punch kind of shot him in the foot. Now, granted, he could get Skull Burn, which is like a little bit less in his, slightly in his favor to get, but regardless, was not like the most thing in the world. So pretty free Aurora Veil here, though. Ninetales has great matchup here. He really does not have great like Blizzard / Freeze Dry switch-ins. He ends up going into Blaziken, just trying to get straight up like Sword Stance. I think this was the incorrect play. I think going to something like Ferrothorn to get hazards up potentially was your best play there, because like Ninetales does not do much to Ferrothorn. Like he can Veil, and then I think Ferrothorn actually even gets Brick Break, so you can even try to like just get rid of that, and then like just try to go for like Leech Seed and just get health back on that thing, because now you're like one of your biggest checks is gone. And you can kind of just like sit there and do stuff. So I think this is a little preemptive of setting up on Blaziken. And yeah, now it's going to just take Rocky Helmet damage, and that just dies to Earthquake. So like, again, a little bit of a misuse of Blaziken. I will kind of hold my tongue because I do play BOB next week. But I will say, I think you gotta kind of wait till the right time to use Blaziken. You gotta wait to really like, it's a really hard Pokemon to use in some such situations, but in this case, you know you still has a full health Donphan there, and like unless you're getting crit with that close combat, like you weren't winning that exchange. If he crit him, it was definitely going to be a tough matchup at that point, but I think that's fine because now it just dies. And yeah, that's going to be that. But I think a Ferrothorn would have been a much better Donphan answer. Like, it can't do anything other than knock off Earthquake you. And now you're going to go Pharaoh, and it's like, you could have done that before and not lost your Blaziken, right? Like, yeah, it beats, like, I guess the Ice move on paper, but you got to be a little bit cautious about that, right? So, and also going for Power Rip here, I think, was also a little bit of the incorrect play, right? Because, like, very likely going to go something like Drapion here. Or go for Rocks, and like you want to get health on this Ferrothorn, right? You want to be able to live stuff like Spectra's moves, and if you had gone for Leech Seed is going to give him that extra turn of stuff, and yeah, so Toxapex going to go there. He's going to get rid of that. And then it's going to be just the right time to go into his Ninetales. Missing that Leech Seed kind of sucks, but like kind of hard to say how much that affected the game because of the fact that he got up rocks after too, and now he cannot get rid of them. So, and now he goes hard Gliscor on a Pokemon that has an Ice move, and just die. So yeah, I would have at least tried to protect to stall out some turns of that Aurora Veil, but alas. And then he goes into Latios on this as well, which is actually ends up being Zoroark. Most likely going to be like Scarf or something. Gets burned, which is fine, whatever. And now Spectrier can kind of just clean up because, like, what can Spectrier do? He goes hard into Spectrier. I think, honestly, just going for, like, Freeze Dry is better. Like, you don't really need to be behind, like, I don't know. Like, I guess he's stalling it out, which is fine. But you're going to die in 2 turns anyway with Ninetales. I guess, like, what is Toxapex doing to you? But I would not want to get, like, Toxic or something, which again doesn't really matter. But if he had like Toxic and then gone for like Baneful Bunker or something, would have been a little bit annoying. But I think Toxapex would have always gotten 1v1. I think like this play was fine, just kind of sped up the process. So Ironite gonna come out on top and end up winning this game with Spectrier that had basically no answers for it on this entire team, outside of the Blaziken that he sacked. So yeah, I think Owen definitely can use this as a learning opportunity. Hopefully not too much, because but if he ends up winning next week because of this video, I like that. We respect that. So anyway, I'm gonna get out of here, guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in for this one, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.